The Fall Guy has hit cinemas, and I have to say I absolutely loved it. So much so that the first thing I wanted to do after seeing The Fall Guy was watch even more The Fall Guy. Will there be a sequel to this film? Will this become Universal's next big action franchise, especially since Fast and Furious might be coming to a close, although let's be realistic, that family probably will never die. Today, we're going to run through all of the reasons as to whether there might be The Fall Guy 2 and whether it is possible at all, and then if it is possible, what this new sequel might be about. But before we go any further, please make sure that you've clicked that red subscribe button down below and have your notifications turned on. So, in case some of you do not know, The Fall Guy is actually technically already part of an established franchise. This film, starring Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, was actually a modern remake based on a TV show of the same name that ran in America from 1981 to 1986, and it was really quite popular in the 80s. I mean, it had 5 seasons, it got great ratings, and had 112 episodes. So if they really were struggling for ideas for a sequel, they got a whole 112 episodes of source material that they could use as a stimulus to choose from. Now, the film might be a remake, but it's only a movie at the end of the day, and so doesn't go into as much detail as the TV show did. And there is one major key difference between the original TV show and the film. Now, in the show, Colt Stevens is a stuntman in Hollywood like in the film, but is also a bounty hunter at the same time, and intentionally goes out to find fugitives and criminals and take them down in LA by using his stuntman skills with the help of Jodie and Howie. Now, in the Fall Guy movie, Colt is still a stuntman and does use his skills to fight bad guys. However, he isn't a bounty hunter. He isn't doing this out of his own will to stop villains. It's more because he's kind of cornered into fighting off the bad guys because he wants to impress Jodie and make sure that her film doesn't end up getting ruined. And so it's more out of being cornered rather than actually wanting to go and stop the bad guys. So the logical conclusion for a sequel could very easily be Colt does lean more into this bounty hunter territory and actually does end up becoming some sort of like vigilante. Now, the film did of course end with Jodie and Colt getting together and defeating Tom and Gale, and Jodie releasing her new directorial debut film, Metal Storm. A sequel would definitely be looking at Jodie releasing another film with Colt probably as the stuntman again. It could be a new film, or it could maybe even be Metal Storm 2. Now, the only problem with all this is the only reason why Colt became a big stuntman in the first place was because he was Tom Ryder's stuntman, who is the biggest actor in the Fall Guy universe. However, the film very much ended with Tom's career plummeting, and therefore they would need another actor who looks like Tom and Colt so that Colt could be another stuntman in this new film that they're making. So they might do a whole different film instead of Metal Storm to accommodate that, or they might still do Metal Storm 2 so that Jason Momoa could have a full main part in the next film rather than just a nice funny little cameo at the very end. And then during the making of Jodie's new film, some sort of criminal action could be happening that leads Colt into having to catch more criminals that eventually does turn him into this bounty hunter from the TV show. However, with saying that, since Tom isn't there anymore, the film's side plot could be a new Jodie film, and Colt isn't actually stuntmanning for that film, but is instead recruited by some sort of vigilante leader, kind of like what the Fast and Furious films have done since Fast and Furious 6 onwards, where instead of just being guys who race cars in Fast and Furious, they instead are recruited by the government to take down criminals like they kind of used to do as vigilantes by themselves beforehand. Or maybe even it could be a combination of all of these previous ideas that we've discussed. Either way, I'd absolutely love a sequel to this film, as I love this film so much, and currently the reviews for this film are quite positive, with this film actually receiving a higher IMDb score than the original TV show that it's based off, which could mean that we could be having a sort of Dune type of situation, where of course the brand new Dune films are a lot more highly rated than the old Dune films. However, in this case, the the original Fall Guy was still quite highly rated anyway. So if it was really highly rated in the 80s and is now really highly rated now, it just makes sense to carry it on. And it's also doing really well at the box office, which is another reason why Universal might want to invest more into this franchise. And let's also not forget that Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt seem to be so passionate about this film. They even went on SNL together just to promote this film. They've done a lot of advertisements for it. They seem really much like they absolutely adore this film franchise. And so I think if your two main actors are interested in it as well, and they're the huge names like Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, then it just makes sense to make this into a franchise. Plus, the new Taylor Swift album, The Tortured Poets Department, dropped, and so they need to add in some more songs, and I have to say that was one of the funniest moments from the entire film. Maybe they could add in So Long London, Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, Clara Bow, Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. So many of the new songs could work, and I really hope if they do make a sequel, they carry on with that running gag. But anyway guys, that's the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, make sure that you smash that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Guys, let me know down below in the comments, do you reckon we might get a sequel for The Fall Guy? And if we do get a sequel, what do you reckon it will be about? If you've seen the original TV show, let me know what your favourite episode was down below, and maybe that could inspire what this new sequel film could potentially be about. Or do you reckon it's nicer just being a standalone film? Let me know all your thoughts down there, and as always, we've been here in Gated Series. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
Too much of drama, but I'm not ready to give in.